What's up, guys? How's it going? Hey.
Ryan said that you'd be working upstairs, hanging out with us.
Yeah.
How do you like it up there? Is that a place that you've normally been in your career?
Yeah, I like it up there a lot. Game slows down. You can see a lot more. You know, being up there, you got such a good view on everything. It's slower. The emotions are kind of out of it. The crowd's kind of out of it. It's kind of like slow motion. And you can see a lot. And I feel very comfortable up there. I was up there in Cleveland for quite a bit. I tried to go up there last year, and then a couple of the players asked me to come back down, so I went back down. But I'd like to be up there. I think it will help us out.
It's because we've seen at Ohio State, cornerbacks, defensive backs coaches doing a lot of hands-on instruction on the sideline. I guess you don't see the value of that compared to calling a game maybe from upstairs.
I do, and a lot of thought went into it. And part of me would love to be around those guys and get my hands on, but I trust the guys that we have down on the field, and I think it's more important for me to be upstairs right now, and I think we have people that can help, and I trust the support staff, which we have a great group of guys. A lot of guys who people really don't know and don't get a lot of attention, but we have a lot of really good young coaches, and between Coach Madison and Coach Washington, we can get those adjustments made. But I just think it's best for our team and our defense if I go up right now.
Front row middle, Dave.
Jeff, do you plan on rotating your corners and maybe some of your other DBs, or is it just get our best players out there as much as possible, or are you trying to keep certain guys fresh?
I think a little bit of both. We got to get the best guys out there, and that's kind of what I said from the first time I ever sat in here. We're going to get the best guys out there, but we also understand that how many plays are in the game, how long is the drive, how much tempo are they going? Does a guy need a break? Is our number one guy as good as our number two guy when he's had too many plays? So I think we have to be really smart about that, and I think that's one thing I have had to think about, which is a little bit different in the National Football League with the amount of plays, the amount of tempo, and especially early in the season. We have good enough players where, like I said from day one, if guys show that they're good enough in practice, we'll put them in and play. So I think you'll see that.
When you look at the depth for you guys, both in the secondary and even the defense as a whole, is it kind of what you anticipated? Is it better than what you anticipated as far as just the overall depth?
Hard to say what I anticipated, because I really didn't know all of the guys, only what I really saw on film, before I got here. But now that you see the depth and you see how hard these guys have worked and how hard they practice, I mean, it's nice. It's really nice. It's nice to have that depth.
Third row left, Dan. Jeff, it seems like Florida Atlantic's got one of the best tight ends in the country, really productive guy last year. How much emphasis does that put on that bullet position to be able to go out and cover a tight end this week?
I think it's not just the bullet position. I think it's just the overall awareness. When we talk about our scheme, we're more into fundamentals, technique. We talk a lot about ourselves, and we talk a lot about, doing our job, right? And not so much picking out one player and saying, hey, this is the player we have to stop. This is what we have to do different. But when you deal with a guy like that, and we think he's a really good football player, and I think you're right. I think he's a really good receiving threat from the tight end position. You just have to be aware of him, what he does well, where he is on the field. You got to play with great eyes. If you're covering him, there's a lot of different things he can do. So whether it's the Sam, whether it's the bullet, whether it's the safety, whether it's the nickel, whether it's a corner, whoever's on him, they got to play with really good eyes, really good leverage, and really good technique.
What are the other things that stand out to you about FAU's offense that are challenges you guys have to be able to beat?
One, I think Lane Kiffin does a really good job. I think he's a really smart football coach. I think the scheme's really good. I think he understands defense and he attacks defense, and he knows how to attack schemes. So I have a lot of respect for him as a football coach. I think the quarterback's a talented player. He was a highly recruited kid who transferred. He can make the throws. He's quick on his feet. And now he's got a little bit more experience than he did last year. The slot's a talented player. He's quick. Not the biggest guy in the world, but he can run. He's really dangerous with the ball in his hands, and he has big play capability. They lost a bunch of backs last year, really good backs. They did a really good job recruiting there. And, we believe everything we've read that they feel good about the ones they have coming back. So, in the first game it's hard because you're watching last year's tape, right? So for us, it's about us right now. And I'm not saying that knocking them at all. It's really whoever we were going to play in this first game, we have to worry about ourselves. Like I'm sure Coach Day talked about, we got to tackle. right? We got to run and tackle, and we have to do our job. And if we do that, and we do it as hard and as fast and as long as we can, then hopefully we'll have a good day.
All right, Bill.
Jeff, do you know who's going to start at linebacker for you?
I do.
Would you share that with us?
I think we'll share that when the depth chart comes out on Friday. Good question, though. I hope I know who's going to start for us. I'm not saying that to be smart, you know.
How comfortable are you with their play this year, this camp?
I think Coach Washington has done a really good job. I think he's rotated guys in. As you watch practice, you see a bunch of guys, different guys in there, and he's challenged them, and they've competed with one another, and they've gotten better. And I think Coach Washington has done a really good job with that.
Hey, could you talk about how the coaching staff has meshed? Obviously, most of you are new together. And what's that process been like?
It's been a lot of fun. I think Coach Day put together most importantly, a really good group of guys, and we have fun together in there. We challenge each other. You know, I think it's different where I don't think anybody's afraid to say what's on their mind, to come up with an idea, where we've all sat in rooms before, and it's kind of like you bite your tongue because, you know, I shouldn't say anything here, whether it's in the run game or the pass game. No, like if I ask a question and I'll say, anybody else see it different? Even if it's at the back end, you guys see it the same way. Is there anything else you guys think is better? And I think our whole room is thinking like that. And I think that's very important because at the end of the day, all we want to do is come up with the best plan where we feel our kids can play the fastest and go try to win a game. So it's been really good. It's a really good group of guys.
Second row left, Ari. Jeff, you are obviously an NFL guy, and a lot of way too early analysts think that Jeff Okudah has the tools to be a top 10 pick in the next year's draft. Aside from just the physical tools, do you see this as the next guy, or him being the next guy in the long list of the Ohio State cornerback tradition of NFL talent? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, it'd be hard not to ask that question if I were you and you were talking about Jeff. And I'll say the same thing that I say to Jeff. I mean, Jeff has the talent. He does. He's got the size. Just look at him. He's got the length. He can run. He played some pretty good football last year, but he hasn't played a whole lot. And he does have a lot to work on. And in order to those top picks, those top guys, to me, it is talent. It is size. It is length. It is speed. But it's also the mindset. And every great one that I've ever been around, their mindset's different. And it's the way they approach practice every single day. It's the way they approach walkthrough. It's the way they approach coming in and getting treatment. It's the way they approach studying at night and asking questions and then coming in and be ready to practice and doing it every single day. And if Jeff can learn to do that and that becomes who he is, then I do think he has a chance. But those are the things that I talk to him about. I don't ever talk to him about where I see him going in the draft, or he asks me a lot of questions about the NFL, you know, what it's like. And I just try to guide all those guys on what it is going to take, not just to be a pro, but to be an exceptional one. Because like I said, I mean, I was lucky to be around some Hall of Fame guys. So I have a vision of what it looks like, and I'm trying to guide him there. But for me to say right now that he's going to be a first-round pick, you know, at the end of the season, hopefully I'll have a clear picture for that.
When you look at just his ability, the way he approaches things, does he seem like somebody that you can rely on for this team to be the number one corner?
Yeah, we need to rely on him. You know, to be honest with you, it has to be all those guys that are going to be out there on Saturday. They're talented players. And the way they work, and the way they practice, and the way they bought in, I'm relying on all those guys right now. So I don't want to single out Jeff for that, because you could talk about Damon and you could talk about Sean. Every one of those guys we're going to have to rely on, and I hope that they're developing that mindset.
In baseball, there's a lot of guessing. The hitter is guessing what's coming. I'm just wondering if there's any correlation with the job you do. Do you guys have to guess what the offense is going to do from play to play? Do you take a chance, or is it not work that way?
Well, I don't think it's guessing. I think that, you know, the hard part is when you start a season and you're watching all last year's tapes and tendencies, and you know they watched it as well. So if you get, say you get 85% chance on this down and distance, on this hash, and this personnel group, we know they're going to run this. That might have worked last year, but they saw that too, right? So now they probably changed that. So I think we have to be very calculated. And again, it goes back to in this game, I think we have to be who we are. I think we have to line up and play, get our cleats in the ground, play as hard and as fast as we can, tackle, get off blocks, cover, play with great eye discipline. And I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of guessing or taking chances. I think we're going to try to play good, solid football. As you get into the season later on and those tendencies start to build and you have all that data, then I think it's a little bit different. But these first games, you kind of never know, and that makes it challenging.
What's it feel like when you guess right?
Feels great. Call a blitz from the right hash into the right play, and you say, shit, I got it. I guess I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, Jerry.
We're just going to rewind the tape. Second row, Tony?
Just came out.
Jeff, along with that, you say you want a defense that you can plug and play anybody. You have all of these chess pieces. How important to the success of this defense is your ability to play chess?
Again, and this is the truth, I think this is a player's game, you know, and I think sometimes we as coaches, we overcomplicate it. And I mean that. I think that we work hard all week to try to put them in the right position and not confuse them, right? And if we try to get too complicated and we confuse them, it doesn't look good on Saturdays. So our philosophy right now is to try to make it as crystal clear as we can, and then on game day, we got to go play ball. And I don't foresee us, like, making wholesale maneuvers or changes where they do this, we do this. Yeah, we have answers. Because in defensive football, to us, if you know what your weakness is, you know what your issues are, right? If we run cover A, you know where the issues are in those coverages, right? But that's why you also have cover B and C. Not everything works great against this play, right? So we have to be able to change that up, but not change who we are, if that makes sense to you.
Got time for a couple more. Second row left, Bill.
Jeff, you guys have spent months putting this defense together. You seem to really like your pieces. Is there anything added to it, knowing that in your first game you're going against an offensive coordinator who has a reputation for being aggressive, like you said, being creative, that he's going to give you something that's challenging?
No, we know he will be challenging because we have a lot of respect for him, and I think there will be some things, and that's why, you know, we told the guys, like, you're going to see some stuff that you've probably never seen before, and it's okay. And if they hit us on a play, it's okay. Just line up and play again. You know, we all watch enough football. When's the last time you saw a game where an offense didn't hit a play, break a run, hit a pass, somebody was open? I mean, that's okay. Don't panic. Just line up and play the next play as hard and as fast as you can. So, again, if we can stay within the structure that we've built and that we believe in, and we just stick to it and we let these guys go play, I don't think there will be any panic. And that's what we've tried to lay our foundation on for them.
Is it fun for you guys as a staff, knowing that, you know, Lane Kiffin's probably going to give you a little something and you're going to have an answer for it?
Yeah, I guess you could say that's fun.
And final question for Coach Hafley, front row left. Doug?
Jeff, we've asked so many versions of this since you got here, but in the end, the ability of this defense to stay simple and have your guys be confident, but also offer some different looks and maybe disguise some things to keep opposing quarterbacks off balance. How is that all working together, and how confident are you in executing that compared to where you first got?
Yeah, I think the whole simplicity thing might be a little bit blown out of proportion. It just depends how you look at it, right? I think we have a good, solid package. We have a variety of different coverages, a variety of different blitzes, and I think we're going to roll with them. I think when we talk about being simple, I think it's more so trying to get the players to know what they're doing, like someone mentioned, plug and play, and then kind of change things around without them having to think about it. Make sense? But when you do watch us, I don't think you'll be able to say, wow, that's so simple. But again, and I say this, and I believe this very, very with all my heart, that defensive football is about lining up, having your eyes in the right place, running as hard and as fast as you can, and tackling. And that's the biggest thing we have to do for this football game. I mean, you see it. And I said it to Ryan when I first got here. The thing that kind of concerns me is in college football, there is no preseason 1, preseason 2. In the NFL, in the first preseason game, you miss a lot of tackles. And then preseason 2, you miss a little bit less. Preseason 3, you're still missing too many. And then usually around the first game, you got it. We don't have that luxury. And that's why we've had to tackle a lot at practice. And now we have to go and run and tackle on Saturday. And I think our guys' mindset is right for that. And I think our coaches have done a good job.
And just because we talked so much about you coming from the NFL, just as a rough estimate, how much more complex or complicated is, for instance, the defense you guys ran in the NFL last year compared to what you're doing here? Just as a baseline for us to have some understanding of what you're talking about.
I've been on a bunch of staffs in the NFL. On some in the NFL, it's been way more complicated. On some, it's been very similar. It just depends what scheme you have. And for the record, guys, I've been in college for 10 years, NFL for 7, so I'm a college guy.
Do you feel that in your heart?
Me?
I'm
Yeah.
a college guy?
I'm here right now. I'm a college guy. That's what I said. More years in college than the NFL. I'm a college guy now, guys.
Coach,
right.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.